my reality with money was constantly like this kind of conflict between my family being super rich but pretending not to have money. So for me, there was always this: we have everything, and houses, cars, whatever, and then but we don't have money.
So I think I lied to get my first job. I was probably, you have to be, it's weird, 14 and 9 months in Australia to get a job, which is such an odd age. I think I was probably 12 and a half, and I lied and worked in this Chinese restaurant.
We didn't have no money. We were poor.
What can I choose that I have not yet chosen? That's there. Like, what can I seduce? What possibilities can I seduce into my life and with business and with money flows?
Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you're with me, your host, Simone Milasas, and I have lots and lots of guests today, which I'm very excited about. So if you're listening, you're like, well, we have no idea. If you're watching, you can actually see these beautiful faces and can see if they have shirts on or off. That was discussed before we started. Woohoo! So we have Mr. Sul Wynne-Jones. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Sounds like a singer. Gioia Sala. And Miss Sarah Watt. Miss Vivi Araujo.
Hello.
How do you say your last name?
Araujo.
Araujo.
I like to say, if you think around you, like Araujo,
Araujo. Vivi Araujo. Perfect. I like that. And Mr. Christopher. How do you say your name? Oh, no, I've got that. Hello.
Hi.
So I'm going to ask you guys some questions about money, and, I can pick one of you guys, or if you want to go, anyone want to go first? Hands up.
Me.
Okay, I'm going to call it Gioia.
This time it's going to be me.
This time it's going to be me. We tried to have Gioia on the last one, and we couldn't hear her. It just wasn't working. So here we go, take two. Okay, so Gioia, and maybe if you guys, if you are noisy in the background, just mute while I'm talking. But I think we're fine. So, what was money like for you growing up? Was it there? Was it talked about?
So
you're Italian.
I am. I was. I used to be. No, I'm Italian. And when I grew up, my reality with money was constantly like this kind of conflict between my family being super rich but pretending not to have money. So for me, there was always this: we have everything, and houses, cars, whatever, and then but we don't have money, so we cannot spend on certain stuff, or you're not allowed to do certain stuff because we don't have money. And in the meantime, I was like, well, I don't understand why we're saying we don't have money. And then I used to see my parents creating so much with money and generating. So it's always
that's
been
an interesting question, though. Do you know if you had like equity, like if you own stuff, or were you cash poor?
Both, actually.
So you had cash flow and you had ownership.
Yeah.
Stuff. Okay. Because I remember when I was little, I heard my parents fighting about money, and my brother and I heard them, and we were like, "Oh no, we've got no money." But they were fighting about a lack of cash flow. And so we went to our bedrooms and we got our prized possessions. And one was, my brother got all of his, we used to collect it. He had these football cards, and I got all my dolls, and we went upstairs and we said, "Hey, we can sell these." Like, and then the family can have money. And apparently us doing that sort of broke them and went, oh, we might need to look at what we're yelling about here in front of the kids, because they think they've got to start selling their toys so that we can eat, So it's so interesting to see the different perspective of what it's like growing up with money. Sarah, what was it like for you growing up with money? Was there money around? What's your memory?
No, I would say we were dirt poor.
Poor as dirt.
Poor as dirt. My mum met my stepdad when I was pretty young in grade 4, and he had money, but he never wanted to share it. Like, he was very, like, he kept it for himself and for his son. But you know what? I never had a problem with it. Like, the things that were important to me when I was young was like nature and animals. Like, I would just take myself outside and be with the dogs in the dirt, and like it never really. And I sort of watched my mom and how hard she worked, and I just bought that as a reality. And so I always was good at making money. Like, I guess the good parts I took from it was money never really mattered to me from a young age, and I knew if I wanted it, I could just go out and work and I'd get money. So I think I lied to get my first job. I was probably you have to be it's weird, 14 and 9 months in Australia to get a job, which is such an odd age. I think I was probably 12 and a half, and I lied and worked in this Chinese restaurant. So I was like, I'm just going to go and make my own money. You guys suck at this. You don't have any idea. So just leave it with me. I'll go and take care of myself. And that's what I did. I always worked, always had, when I left high school, I had 2 jobs and always had a good time. I always was able to generate and create money myself because, yeah, my
So
mum
you
never
weren't
really.
really, yeah, you weren't really educated about money though. You educated yourself basically, self-taught.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Oh, and then, from a young age, yes. And then, I discovered this amazing thing called access consciousness, and a lot of things in my life changed, including my money situation.
So Vivi, apparently we're doing the ladies first. So Vivi, what was money like for you growing up?
When I was very little, I
You're from
used to
Brazil. Sarah's from Australia and Vivi is from Brazil. Yeah.
So when I was very little, I used to sell like everything. If a relative asked me to kiss, like give me a kiss on my cheek or tell me a joke, I used to say it costs this much. And so it was quite easy for me. And I would sell things like in school and stuff if a friend wanted a sticker. But when I got older, I was like looking to my family and I realized that they needed to create a need to have money. Like
Uh-huh.
they always create the need first, the problem first, and then they go for money.
Wow. I love that. So you basically were willing to sell anything. You're willing to hustle, get your hustle on at a really early age. I love it. And no judgment about it. Just
Yeah,
if you
because
want a kiss, that costs you.
I didn't have any judgment back then. When I started to judge it, then I stopped doing it.
Yeah. Were you taught about money? Like, were you educated about money? Were you allowed to talk about it in the household?
In the household, yes, but just that it was hard. It was blood and tears and all that stuff. But outside, no.
Hmm. Okay. And Mr. Christopher, you currently live in Australia, but you grew up in Canada. What was it like? What was money like for you growing up? Were you taught about money? Was it around you?
We didn't have no money. We were poor. And it was always a bit of a bone of contention because I don't think I realized we were poor. I didn't
Mhm.
know any real difference, but we had nothing. Um, I mean, I was raised by a single mom who, like Sarah was saying, worked really hard. But when she became a single mom, she didn't have a high school education and worked at like convenience stores, raising 3 kids on her own, living in a basement. Um, but despite that, I was always like giving stuff away. Like we didn't have enough money for food, but I would still feed the neighbors and like give stuff to everybody because I was like, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So I always kind of danced to my own beat with money, even as a kid when we didn't have any. Like, and that was a
Yeah.
reoccurring theme throughout my life because later I did all these things that my family had said that's not for us. We can't afford things like university and travel and things like that. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. We'll just go do it. And
Right.
I was just different. And I definitely wasn't necessarily taught about money either by my family.
Yeah, we were not allowed to talk about money at the dinner table. Like we had that like, meat and 3 veg and glass of milk sort of, dinner time thing. And you were not allowed to talk about money. You were not allowed to talk about business. You had to talk about basically shit is the way I looked at it. but something that made my mother happy, you know, like that the boy up the road won a swimming carnival, or his auntie is got a new dress. And I was like, why the fuck are we talking about this? Like, I don't get it. But that's what we had to talk about. It was like very much try and live that, you know, leave it to Beaver sort of household, and you don't talk about stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I grew up with money too. So Sul, how did you grow up with money? And you grew up where did you grow up in Australia?
Like mainly inner West Sydney. But yeah, similar to Chris and
Are you a
Sarah.
Westie?
I'm a Westie, way back
You're a
Westie.
Westie. Only we know what that is.
Yeah. But yeah, we seem very similar, like single mom, not a lot of money around. I kind of went out and, you know, got jobs as soon as I could, because I kind of liked having money and nice things. And yeah, I remember sort of, yeah, money was always something that I quite liked, but we didn't really talk about it. I just like enjoyed having it and enjoyed like buying nice things for my room and stuff like that. So yeah, it was kind of like a bit of a different reality, I think. I recognized early on.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sort of sounds like you realized that money could create something for you that you enjoyed at an early age.
Yeah, and I think like my family, my extended family and everything were always very like generous with me. And so it wasn't like, you know, we got to go traveling and all sorts of things, which I think probably was my extended family helping, you know, my mum out a little bit. But yeah, so I never felt like I was needed anything, but I just knew that money was always a bit sort of tight, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next question is, and either one of you guys can jump in if you want. Do you have like this first memory of money? Like first ever? Like how random is that first memory that money actually exists? Maybe it's the color of the money, maybe it's a coin, maybe it's someone gifting you something or finding it or something. What's that first memory you have of money? Vivi obviously has one.
Yes, I do. My first memory was like I was holding a lot of money. I got it from somewhere I don't remember, and the smell was great, but it was like uh, it was very different, you know. And my sister said, "Hey, I have a lot more than you. Do you want to switch?" But she didn't have. But because I was little, she was like trying to fool me into it because my bills were more valuable than hers. So that was my first memory.
And did you? And so your first memory is the smell, and that someone was trying to hustle you out of money, basically.
Yes.
Did she win, or did you hold on to your cash?
I don't remember. I remember being like, how could you do that? I was telling everyone that she was trying to fool me, you know? That's
Right,
what I remember. I think my mom made her to give me the money back. I don't
right.
remember actually. And
I
can
love
I
it.
tell something else that I remembered? Because it was like we couldn't talk outside about money with people, and we didn't really know any rich people. So it was like, that person is rich. Like it's a secret. Like don't look, that the person is rich. And there was this rich lady in the church, and I got to her and I asked, "What did you do to get rich?" And my mom got like mortified. That was
Do
funny.
you remember what the lady answered?
She didn't know what to say. She was like, she was also uncomfortable and surprised the kid was asking that. And now I know it was like family money, so she probably didn't know
Right,
anything.
right. Well,
She
she
was
chose to be
born.
born into that family. Yeah, I love it. So, Chris, what's your first memory of money? I could see you had something too.
Yeah, I didn't actually even remember this until you asked the question, but I remember being really young. Like I would probably even have been maybe 5 or
Mhm.
6, and I got a birthday card from my grandmother. And in the birthday card, there was money. And I'm pretty sure it was the first time anyone had ever given me actual like cash. And it was
Mhm.
probably like $5 or something, not a lot of money. And everyone was like, oh. And I remember looking at it going, where's the toy? Like,
Right, right.
what am I supposed to do with it? Like,
Yeah.
and I remember even afterwards, my mom said to me, well, you need to call grandma and thank her. And I was like, why?
What for?
She didn't give me anything.
Oh, I love it. And now you're still like, where's the toy? But you have
Yeah.
different toys.
Where's
Eh?
exactly?
Eh? Yeah. I love it.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Go
mine's
for it.
mine's also a grandma gift story. I got given £100, and it was way back when £100 was worth about 300 Australian dollars. So I learned about exchange rates in that interaction. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Do you know how old you were?
I was probably like 11 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. How old's your son now, Silas?
He's 8.
He's good with money. He
He
knows what's
likes
happening.
it, yeah.
Yeah, he loves money. Yeah, it's very cool. He's very willing to receive, which is really cool. But you guys actually empower him and let him choose what he wants to choose. I love when he comes to classes and he makes announcement, or get someone to make it for him because he flirts. And he's like, he's going to do sessions for half the day, but then the other half he's going to play. So he's like, I'm doing half my day of business and the other half I'm going to play. Okay. It's like, you can't book a session and play time. Okay, Sally, got it. I love it the way he looks at it. So, Gioia, Sarah, do you remember the first moment about money? Anything about money?
You go, Sarah.
I used to find money all the time. I clearly remember.
People's purses? No, I'm kidding.
I don't. I don't remember how old it was, but I was at the supermarket and I just found this pile of cash on the ground, like sitting there, and I was like, I gave it to my mum. I was like, I don't know, but it was a few $100s, and then like not long later I was swimming at the beach and this wallet just floated past me, and I remember being on a bus once and like reaching between the seat and there were just all these like gold, like $2 coins and $1 coins. Yeah, I just remember as a kid money would just show up and on the ground, in the water, like everywhere.
So what were you looking at, like energy? Did you acknowledge anything energetically with that?
Not then. I mean, I was kind of like, this is cool. I was probably like, this is awesome. But I think looking back, it's really just, and even talking about all of these stories, because we're recounting our childhood, it's so interesting how much more you're willing to receive when you're a kid. Like you're willing to receive no money, you're willing to receive money, you're willing to receive free money, except Chris, he was like $5, not enough.
Oh, where's my toy? Where's something I can play with?
But yeah, I just love the stories because it gives me a sense of like where as a kid you just have way less barriers to receive everything. And then at some point you kind of make it all significant and it changes things. So
I think my favorite still is Vivi's charging for being kissed and stuff. That's my favorite. So Gioia, what's your first memory of money? Do you remember? You would have paid,
Yes.
would you have lira? Not euro, lira, right?
Lira. Yeah. So it's interesting because also my first memory it has to do with my grandparents, especially my grandpa. So he used to take me for endless walks, and he used to buy me my favorite pastries. And actually, I know it's not cash, it's not, but now that you're asking that and we're talking about it, I've been realizing, wow, that was the energy of wealth for me, because there was wealth of kindness, caring, and enjoying time together. So when you asked that memory popped, and I was like, of course it's a gift, but still that now I'm acknowledging this energy of money. So thank you for asking, actually.
No, you're welcome. That's and I did one more of these calls with a bunch of this one we're going to actually play first, I think, and then the next one we've got is with a bunch of the translators as well. And it was really interesting talking to some of them because some of them grew up in communist countries, and it's like, and the politics and everything. It's like so interesting to see how people grew up, but what they chose. And I know a lot of people look at, oh, this is how I grew up, so this is what my wealth or lack of wealth situation is based on how I was brought up. And it's not true. It's like there is so many people who have a different story to tell, but what have you chosen and what do you be with money? Like what I've noticed is everybody's chosen their own reality. So even if you think you haven't chosen your own reality, I'm noticing that everybody does and is. And for me, it's like, what else is possible too? So my next question to you guys is, what is the biggest lie that you found out about money? Could be today, could be when you were a kid. What's the biggest lie?
I would say that you like. I always thought you kind of had to follow rules with it. Like I thought there were a lot of rules that govern money. Even though my story was like I used to find it in random places. You get to a point where you're like the whole I've got to work hard. If I want money, I just go out and work. I earn it. And I think I realized like really that's bullshit. You can actually create a financial reality not based on what anyone else has. Like you can actually create that yourself for you. You don't even have to tell anyone else. It can really be like whatever you desire it to be. Yeah. And that's, I think, something that I'm still discovering and realizing every day. It's like when stuff comes up with money, I'm like, is that my reality with finances? Or is that something that was just sold to me or that I bought somewhere? So, yeah.
Which is a great question to ask. And it's, as you say that too, I remember like, I think one of the things I realized is a lie too, is that you have one revenue stream. Because my mother was always getting really cranky at my father for being an entrepreneur. Like it was like, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be what you shouldn't be doing. But he'd just want to play in all these different, you know, avenues. And I also remember when I first met Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, at one stage he said to me, you do realize you don't have to destroy a business in order to start another one, right? And I was like, oh, what? I wish you'd been, you know, told me that years ago. Because I was under the impression that if I was bored with this business, I had to like destroy it so I could start something new rather than actually ask for more revenue streams to show up, which what I get makes people really uncomfortable if you are earning revenue streams from many different places because they can't define you or confine you. So that's one of the lies I've realized is there's multiple revenue streams to be received if we're willing to receive it. So who else? What's the biggest lie that you've ever found out about money?
So, I think. Oh, go ahead, Gioia.
Okay. I think that money is bad because I remember my father used to say the money is it's the child of the devil. So whenever he has money in his hands, he's like kind of hiding it because it's the child of the devil. So I was like,
say that in Italian for us because it's going to sound good in Italian.
I soldi sono I figli del diavolo. So I was and raised up like being Catholic, you know. I was like, oh, devil, that's bad. So don't touch the money. And also for me, money was always the source of a conflict between my reality and between my parents. So it was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to deal with that, you know. But
yeah.
Apparently money is not bad. Actually quite the opposite.
Yeah I love that.
Yeah.
Christopher?
I guess what I was always raised to think that times were tight, and no matter what times there were, things always seemed to be tight and there was not enough money. And even when we're in like recessions or depressions, whatever you want to call them, there's no less money around. It's just either not moving or it's pooled in one particular place and area. And if you want more of it or you want it to move, you've got to stimulate it. But like this whole idea that there's not enough is probably the biggest lie I was raised with, and I see a lot of people still struggling and suffering with. Like one of my revenue streams, and I love how you said that about having multiple, because that's one of the things I've created that makes my life work as well as it does. I have multiple revenue streams. One of those streams is a retail shop that we're both partners in here in Brisbane. And I go around and I talk to a lot of other shop owners just to see what's going on, what's the sort of feeling in the waters. And it's interesting how many people buy this whole thing of like, oh, it's a really bad year. Things are really tight right now. There's not enough going around. And so I see them like shrink their lives to fit into a smaller box. Yeah, based on a lie. It's not true. There's always money somewhere. And the question I keep asking is, where have I never thought of to look for more money?
Can you just give you and I were talking today about an article that you read too, and I mean, I think this has got to do like I had so many conversations with people yesterday who were freaked out about money. I was one of them, like freaked out about money, and realizing that okay, this is not mine, and what else is possible. And the article that you read that you were talking to me about, can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the shop that we have here, we're in the luxury market, and we're in the neighborhood of Brisbane, where our neighbors are Chanel and Louis Vuitton and all of those high street luxury brands. So I'm always interested in that end of the market and how people are viewing it. And what the article said was, for the past 15 years, the luxury market was really supported by the Chinese dollar and the Chinese economy, which is not doing very well right now. There's not the money that there used to be in that economy. And then COVID hit, and a whole lot of people were shopping that the article and what the luxury industry has called aspirational shoppers. Basically, people who can't really afford luxury, but they had all this stimulus money from the government. So they went and bought diamonds and fancy sneakers and things that, because the money they hadn't really earned, things like lottery money and inheritance
Inheritance.
and gambling money, people blow it on stuff like that because they go, oh, it's like free money, I can do whatever with. Anyway, there were so many people with that kind of money that those shops, you'd walk downtown and Gucci would have a line of people out the door waiting to get in to spend the money on this. Well, guess what? Both of those sources of revenue have all but disappeared. And in that market, what they're doing right now, their strategy to try and find more money and grow their businesses, to cannibalize the market and steal it from other brands, because it's not a growing industry where more money's coming in and more customers are coming in. It's sort of bobbing along stable or shrinking. So that's the strategy that they're taking. And I was looking at that and going, I don't want to live that way. That's not of
Mm,
interest to me, where we try and harm someone else's business to bolster ours and grow it. And I looked at
mhm.
that and I went, no, there's another way of doing this. We don't actually have to be assholes to grow our business. What we
Yeah.
like, if look at us, the six of us here on this podcast, all of us are facilitators of one kind or another who earn an income and build a business on growing classes and seminars. I could go, fuck Simone, fuck Sul, fuck all of you, and try and compete to take your clients to grow my business. But again, it's the same thing that I was talking about earlier of there's not enough. You're operating from the point of view that there's not enough clients. If that's how you're building your business and creating your revenue, you're going, I'm gonna have to take to get enough. And it's,
Yeah.
to me, once again, it's such an unfortunate lie.
Yeah. And today I was hiking, and one of the questions I was asking myself over and over again is, what can I receive today that I wasn't willing to receive yesterday? But really asking it in a different way, because I've noticed I've used that question before, but it's sort of been, I don't know, a bit blasé or whatever. And I was looking at that. Gary and Dane were on a call recently called Realms of Creation, which was incredible. And one of the things that they were talking about, Gary said, it was so good. He said, he was talking about seducing, right? And he said, can you seduce someone into control? Can you seduce someone to receive? And as soon as I say seduce someone to receive, you guys all your bodies just go, yeah, I can do that. So what if we started seducing money into our lives and seducing these possibilities? And that to me, Chris, is how you were looking at this going, okay, we don't have to play this reality game of, being an asshole or whatever. And it's like, it's going over here going, what can I choose that I have not yet chosen? That's there. Like, what can I seduce? What possibilities can I seduce into my life and with business and with money flows? So that's one of the things that I'm playing with at the moment as well. Seduction, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that I have a monthly membership? It's called the Profit Club. So what is the Profit Club? Well, most people go to profit is the amount of money that you make after you pay the bills. What if it's more than that? What if it's not just about money? It's not just about business. It's not just about wealth creation. It's about you. It's about you being the source of your life so you can truly choose to live. You get 2 calls with me a month. You're also on a private Telegram thread, and there's a few other things that you get as well. It's $28 a month. That's it. So would you like to be a member of the Profit Club? So, Sul, what about you?
Thank you for saying that too, Simone, because I coming on here, I was like also had that question in my world of like, you know, I'd like to play with money in a different way. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, deduce it. So
Yeah.
is there something that you've found out that is one of the biggest lies you've ever been told about money?
Probably just with like investing. I think I remember the first time I got like an amount of money that I figured I should invest in something. I think I gave it to someone else to like manage for me and ended up losing it. And it was like, okay, next time I'm going to try doing this myself and seeing like what I know about investing, and, you know, learned a lot along the way. And yeah, like I found it really fun and interesting. So I think, yeah, that like that, you know, you need to give it to someone who sort of knows more about money or something with investing. So yeah, that's probably my one.
That's a good one. You know, I opened my first trading account with $50 and I didn't tell anyone because I was really embarrassed, because somewhere I thought, oh, if you open a trading account, you have to have at least $1,000. Like I thought they would sort of go, I'm sorry, love, we're going to reject your your application, you know. And you actually don't even have to pay anything to have an application on a trading account, right? And I started with $50, and every time I had a spare $20, $50, I would bank it in there and I would start playing on stocks. And my stock trading account is not very good at the moment, but I don't think anyone's is at the moment, or somebody's is. But I've done really well with it, and I've done a lot of things with it with that $50. What are you going to say?
Do you know whose account is doing really well?
Whose?
Elon Musk's.
Oh.
Since Trump won the election, do you know how much his wealth has gone up based on his stock increasing? $73 billion he's earned in a week.
Wow. And he was hammering to vote for Trump like before. He was going on every podcast. He was doing everything he could to be like, you know, you have to. The world is basically going to die if you don't vote for Trump. Yeah, because you have a lot of business deals with him, dude. So anyway, that's the other thing. You taught me this, Chris, during COVID. I don't trust anyone. You said that to me one day. I don't trust anyone anymore. And I went, yeah, I don't trust anyone anymore. I'm asking to be more aware with every situation and not just go with trust. Because I think that's something that a lot of us have been, you know, I don't know, you're meant to trust your elders, you're meant to trust your teacher, you're meant to trust, you know, someone I know in Australia during COVID realized that the government is not someone you trust. And they said, that's what I grew up with. Like I grew up with my father saying to me, trust the government. The government's going to make the right choice for you. And I was like, oh my God, fucking government's not going to make the right choice for you. You have to, you know, be that. But she learned that. And you know, you gave me that line, not trusting anyone anymore, Chris, going with what you're aware of.
Yeah. And it's like what Sul just said, like in the area of finance and money, we so often give away our awareness to somebody else because we assume they'll know better than us or have more education than us in it, and disavow what we know to be correct.
I love that. I think I just got the name of our podcast. So I have 2 more questions for you guys, if we have a moment. Is one of them I want to ask is, where are you at now with money, and do you have enough? Gioia?
It's never enough.
Sarah?
I'm better off, quote unquote, than I've ever been, but it's still not enough. Like it's not that it's not enough. I just know there's so much more available and possible. So yeah.
Vivi?
Yeah, the way I think about money now and the way I create, I don't worry about bills. And somehow it's like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I don't worry about bills anymore, you know? And what is enough?
Yeah. I like that. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Joe Rogan. He said, I always just wanted to be able to walk into any restaurant and order whatever I want and eat whatever I want and not have to be concerned about the bill. And I went, I have that. I'm good, But yeah, what else? Sul, where are you at now?
I'd say I'm comfortable, but I'd like to start playing in areas that make me uncomfortable again.
Ooh, I like that. Mr. Christopher.
I have had a meteoric rise in terms of my financial reality, especially over the last 10 years. And I'm often frustrated that it's not enough.
Yeah. I hear you. It's interesting. I was talking to this friend the other day, and she said about how she goes, "Oh, did you know that?" Can't remember what airline it is. Some American airline. They now have a flight that goes directly to Dallas, and I went, "Yeah, but it's only business class." She looked at me, and I went, "That's like a 17-hour flight." And I was like, "I'm not." And I went, "I realize how that sounds, and that there are people who travel economy and sit in the middle for 17 hours." I'm not doing a 17-hour flight, and it's also a Dreamliner. So those Dreamliners, I think, are made for like maybe Asians who just want to lie like they're in a coffin. And I was like, "There's no room to move." And I was like, "No," but I was like, I hear myself. Trust me, and there's more. Let's go for more. Let's go for greater. Let's go for something.
I've got to tell a story about my friend Simone here, because my friend Simone here and I were shopping one day, and we went into this dress shop, and she's looking at these clothes, and she goes, "Oh, these are awesome, and they're affordable." She tried on these pants, and I went, "Girl, those pants are $700. That's a lot of money for pants for most people."
But hang on, we were shopping in Brisbane, and it was Australian dollars, and I went, well, it's a lot different than 700 and shopping for pants in Rome.
At €700 or more. Yeah, it is. But it's important to sometimes remember that for some people, $200 pants are a lot.
I hear you, and I was there. Like that's the I sometimes think I created debt and I created a financial mess so I could write a book about it, which is called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. It's on many languages, on Audible as well. And every single tool in that book I got from Access Consciousness, and I resisted them like I've never fucking resisted anything in my life. I resisted using those money tools, and I did. And then when I finally made that choice and went, you know what, I'm done. I need to choose something different. And I did. And I worked at it, and I changed my financial reality. So yeah. So now I'm 700 Australian dollar pair of pants, I think is a really good price, and they fit well. And I'm okay with that.
And so you should be.
Yes. So I have a money challenge. It's actually starting on the 1st of January as well. And you guys are all invited to it. And if we're going to have, information in it in the show notes, etc. So don't forget to subscribe to the show notes, and also check us out on YouTube, because then you get to see these, 5 beautiful faces on here, on 6 plus me. And if you're just listening to us, and tell everyone about it, etc. And check out Access Consciousness, and all of these guys are facilitators. We will have all of their details in the show notes as well, so that you can reach out to them and attend any of their classes. They all do private sessions as well. And I've known them for quite some time, and they have changed so many different areas of their lives, not just with money. And we keep changing. And that is the beauty of using Access Consciousness tools as well. So I have one last question for you guys too. If you could tell yourself something about money now, what would you tell yourself? Like with all those years?
That's an awesome
Everything
question. I would tell myself, relax, it's going to be fine.
Yep. Anyone else?
Just have fun with it.
Yeah, that I can keep money. I don't have to rely on other people. So empowering myself about that.
Yeah, I love that. Sarah, Sul?
I would say buy those $700 pants if they make you happy. Do it.
I thought you were going to say buy those 700 horses if it makes you happy. She's like, I'm on it.
Too. That too. Come on.
Yeah. Choose what makes you happy. I like it. Sul?
Yeah, probably just trust you more when it comes to money.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love all of your information and answers and stories that you guys have told here. And hopefully this actually inspires other people as well. Because the one thing I realize is, like yesterday, I said I had a really funky day. I was frustrated. I was, cranky. I hated people, and I thought that I had a money problem. And we go through shit like that, but we have the tools also to change it. One of the things I did was get my bars run, and I was like, gosh, I so required this. And I just watched random friggin' Netflix show just to stop being in my own head. And I love every single thing that you guys have said that you would tell yourselves. And what if, listening now, what would you tell yourself about money? What if you stop stressing and stopped the struggle and the lack? And as Chris mentioned earlier, there's not a lack of money around. It's like there's that lack of flow. What if we all started a different flow with money and knew that there was more possible? So is there anything else you guys would like to add before we finish today? And I'm super grateful. Thank you all for being here. Any last jazz hands?
No, just thank you, Simone. Your story of what you've created and changed for yourself is so empowering and so exciting. And that you're being that for other people and showing them they can is such a gift.
Cool.
Yeah, I second that. Always an inspiration.
Thank you. Everyone's got $700 pants in their wardrobe. You should. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Anyone else before we say goodbye? Love you guys. You're amazing. Very grateful.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Cool. Thanks, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening, everybody.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at Simone Milasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes. And lastly, have way too much fun today.